So good morning, you all. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Yves Trail, working for Center for Cybersecurity Belgium inside the NCC team. We are part of the SECURE project, and basically we are leading the Work Package 4. Work Package 4, it's all about knowledge and capacity enhancement. SECURE project is about to support European SME. My presentation will focus on guidance to strengthen cybersecurity capabilities and compliance to Cyber Resilience Act. So 3 guidelines and 1 tool are available on our SECURE project website. You can find them under the Central Repositories section. The first guideline focuses on CRA obligation, while the 2 others are more practical recommendations. So let's start with the CRA 101. It's a beginner-friendly guideline, crucial for the understanding of micro SMEs, and especially for those with, as of yet, limited knowledge on the CRA. This guideline makes the CRA legal text more tangible by providing a simplified overview of the key CRA obligation. The overview does not cover all obligations, nor does it include all exceptions to the legislation. The CRA introduced harmonized cybersecurity requirements across the EU. It applies to manufacturers, importers, distributors of products with digital elements. In terms of timeline, CRA entered into force by December 2024, reporting obligation start in 2026, and full application in December 2027, as already mentioned by Chairman. Manufacturers must ensure cybersecurity by design, a documented and regularly updated risk assessment, including intended use, operational environment, and supply chain element. Vulnerabilities must be handled effectively throughout the support period. Security updates must be free of charge and long-term. And finally, support period must be clearly defined and communicated. Manufacturers must inform users clearly and appoint a single point of contact. Strict reporting deadlines apply for actively exploited vulnerabilities and severe incidents. Compliance must be demonstrated through EU Declaration of Conformity and CE marking. Technical documentation must include risk assessment, SBOM, testing report, support period definition, and conformity evidence. In summary, the CRA requires 5 core actions: cybersecurity risk assessment, vulnerability handling and security updates, user information, instruction and SPOC, reporting obligation about vulnerabilities and incidents, and the last one, conformity assessment. The second guideline focused specifically on Annex 1, Part 1 of the CRA, translating the essential cybersecurity requirement into practical and technical guidance. Annex 1, Part 1 established the foundation principle of the Cyber Resilience Act based on 4 pillars. The 4 pillars are risk-based approach, secure by design and default, lifecycle security, supply chain security. Product with digital element must ensure an appropriate level of cybersecurity based on identified risk. This means cybersecurity cannot be generic or universal. Manufacturers must systematically assess risk across the entire product lifecycle, from design to end of life. The process includes identifying assets that need protection, analyzing threats and vulnerabilities, evaluating impact and likelihood, and prioritizing mitigation measures accordingly. Importantly, this is not just a technical exercise. It must be documented and traceable. For CRA compliance, authorities must be able to follow the logic from identify risk to selected control to verification evidence. The CRA embeds the principle of security by design and by default. Together, this measure ensures security is structurally embedded in the development life cycle. The CRA makes clear that cybersecurity obligations continue after market placement. Manufacturers must monitor vulnerabilities continuously and provide security updates without undue delay, keeping them available for at least 10 years or the defined support period. Transparency is essential, including a public coordinated vulnerability disclosure policy and timely communication with users and authorities. The CRA also recognized the critical role of third-party and open-source components. Manufacturers remain responsible for supply chain risk, requiring an up-to-date SBOM, proactive dependency monitoring, and contractual cybersecurity obligation for suppliers, including 24 hours reporting of critical vulnerabilities. The second guideline is a technical review of essential cybersecurity requirements covering 4 structural pillars of the CRA Annex 1, Part 1. First, adopt a risk-based cybersecurity approach across the full life cycle. Security must be proportionate and documented. Second, embed security by design and by default. Architecture and default setting must prioritize security. Third, ensure lifecycle security management, continuous monitoring, timely patching, and transparent disclosure. Fourth, extend cybersecurity governance to the supply chain, maintain an SBOM, monitor open source component, and ensure supplier accountability. Together, these pillars form a comprehensive and defensible framework for the CRA compliance. Let's review now the CRA Maturity Score tool, which allow you to assess your level of cybersecurity and compliance with the Cyber Resilience Act. The CRA Maturity Score surveys cyber resilience at 2 levels. First, at organization level, and secondly, at PDE level. For both, you're required to answer a range of questions through 3 response options: yes, partially, no. This leads to a final score that indicates your level of resilience: low, medium, high. So, the CRA Maturity Score will allow you to further identify gaps that require your attention, supporting you in your journey to full CRA compliance. The third guideline available is the CRA Methodological Compliance Assessment Framework. It provides a structured, practical self-assessment methodology to support SMEs in complying with the EU Cyber Resilience Act. The framework translates CRA legal requirement into actionable steps, tools, templates, and case studies tailored to the operational realities of SME. This first assessment framework considers 5 criteria: essential cybersecurity requirement compliance, certification of product with digital element, classification of product as class 1 or class 2 and corresponding action, technical documentation completeness, and finally, overall conformity assessment procedure. Each section is enriched with an in-depth guidance, practical example, case studies, checklist, reference to template, tools, and standard, ensuring micro SME can effectively navigate CRA obligation with actionable strategies tailored to their resource constraint. So, in a nutshell, this framework provides a practical structure to operationalize CRA compliance. So let me summarize. So this slide will help you to compare and more visual the difference between the three guidelines I just reviewed. So on the left, the CRA 101 provides a simplified legal overview to understand core obligation. On the middle, the essential cybersecurity requirement guideline translate essential requirement into technical implementation guidance. Altogether, they move from regulatory awareness to practical security engineering. And the third one, the methodological and compliance assessment frameworks, it structures how compliance is assessed, documented, and formally declared. It integrates product classification, conformity module, certification strategies, and technical documentation requirements. Together, the three documents form a progression from left to right, awareness to implementation and demonstration. So, in conclusion, I would suggest you go through the different guidelines tool in the following order from top to bottom. So the first one, CRA 101, to understand what are the key CRA obligations. The second one, CRA essential cybersecurity requirement to guide you in the technical implementation. The CRA maturity score tool to assess your level of cybersecurity and compliance with the CRA. And finally, the CRA methodological compliance assessment framework to help you in your way to comply with the EU Cyber Resilience Act with a structured self-assessment methodology and governance framework. This ends my presentation. Thanks a lot for your attention. And please go through our website, on the SECURE website, and have a look on those different guidelines.